Hi, Ken Ravago, lead property manager of the Ravago Group. The lease agreement, one of the most important documents in a tenancy. It's almost what I like to call it is your operations manual, if you will. It prevents disputes. It protects both the landlord and tenant through the tenancy. And what I'm here to talk with you about today is what should be in a Nevada residential lease agreement. Yes, you can go to Office Depot, Office Max, or Amazon and pick up a generic lease agreement. But the question is, will it have the nuance? Will it have the current state laws to keep you compliant and address common issues before they arise? So I could go ad nauseum, and I could talk for 8 to 10 minutes on rental agreements, but I'm going to try to break down the key elements. Now let's get started. So you want to have full legal names of the tenant and each adult occupant. Anybody over 18, you want to make sure that they are on the lease. Also, every adult resident should sign the lease. You want to create joint responsibility, or if there's more than 2 people, you want to have as many people on the lease that can share the responsibility in case there's a loss. You want to define lease terms, start and end dates. You want to go over the rent amount, the due date, how can they make the payment. And with our firm, we accept payments land, sea, and air. We'll take it at the front desk. We have a payment portal online, and we'll even take a payment via mail, check or money order. You want to have lease late fee policies, obviously complying with Nevada law spelled out. So if they don't pay the rent on time, what happens? Security deposits, which is one of the main reasons a landlord and tenant end up in court. You want to clearly identify the deposit amount. You want to have the conditions for deductions. Why would this is a tenant's money until you see fit to deduct. So you want to have conditions for the deductions and the timeline in which you will return a deposit if they meet the conditions or exceed the conditions and return a property in the same condition or better, with the exception of normal wear and tear. If you're allowing pets, you want to have your pet guidelines. If you're collecting a deposit, if you have unauthorized pets in the property, you want to spell that out. 7 out of 10 applicants, lessees, have at least one pet. So you're going to be faced with, as a landlord, you may have a pet in your property, so you want to have clearly defined pet policies. Why does this all matter? A detailed, legally compliant rental agreement helps. It helps reduce misunderstandings, tenants' disputes. As a landlord, protect your investment, and it creates a clear process when problems occur. As I mentioned, when I started 26 years ago, it was 2 pages. Now it's morphed into 26 pages. We wish it wasn't this way, but if there were ever a legal dispute, it would support the legal compliance if enforcement or eviction ever becomes necessary. And again, we look at it as an operations manual and a working document. In fact, the last page talks about utilities. We have the phone number to every utility in their jurisdiction, because they're asked to have the utility switch in their name within a certain period of time. So if you take away nothing else, think of the rental agreement as your friend, as your operating manual for the tenancy. The more clear the laid out the expectations are, defined up front, the fewer problems you'll face and less likelihood you'll end up in court. Please use this as a resource if you're self-managing landlord and you have questions about your current lease agreement, or you're having some landlord-tenant disputes. We're not legally trained. We're not lawyers, but we will stay in our lane and help when we can. If you're one of our current owners and you're partnered with us, rest assured we have the most legally compliant lease, and we're constantly tweaking it. Should there be any modifications or amendments to Nevada law, and we're constantly staying in front and not chasing what needs to be in a lease agreement. Until next time, we'll see you on the next video.